gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm the Judge Executive, David Vogel. Happy to have you here today. This is the first day of October. It's hard to believe that a new month has arrived. If you have a cell phone with you, please turn it to off or vibrate, and if you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Harrison. Here. Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins. Here. Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logsdon. Here. Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the Fiscal Court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
All right. Are there any corrections or additions?
Yes, Judge.
Go ahead.
On item C, it says CAD software. That should read radio equipment, not CAD software.
All right. Are there any other corrections or additions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Before we read the minutes today on this meeting, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Our community has lost a really tremendous individual in the last few days. His name is Charles Botdorf. Many of us know him as Charlie. He lived to be 100 years old, and that was his goal, and he made his goal a couple of months ago, but started to lose his health after that. Many of us know Charlie, but there are many people in our community who don't know Charlie. Charlie Botdorf has quietly given millions of dollars to various things in our community that assist low-income people, poor people, Creasy Mahan Park. He built the gymnasium, I think $750,000 or $800,000 at the YMCA. You would never know it by talking to Charlie Botdorf, who was very humble, quiet, low-key, but very, very generous, unbelievably generous. And I can't disclose anything, but the generosity is not going to end with Charlie's death. So our community will definitely miss Charlie Botdorf. He was a wonderful example to everyone who knew him, and I'd like to ask for a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you very much. Now I'll ask our clerk, Sheila Fair, to please read the minutes of our last meeting on September 17th.
September 17th, 2019. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Albert Harrison, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hound, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logsdon. Motion made by Magistrate Dye, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to approve the agenda. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Likens to approve the meeting minutes from August 30th. Motion carried unanimously. Public comment. Becky Zocklin announced the annual document shredding event open to all Oldham County residents Saturday, September 21st from 9 to 12 at the fairgrounds. Leaders Don't Litter event Dash for Trash at Windlemore Park, September 21st, 1 to 2. As president-elect for LaGrange Rotary, Michael Simpson announced a fundraiser October 8th at the John Black Center featuring dinner, bar, and guest speaker Marty Brenneman. For more information and tickets, contact him at the Detention Center, 222-3500. Oldham County Planner Tom McIntyre announced dates for open house-style meetings between 5:30 and 7:30 to discuss proposed updates to the county's comprehensive plan. Meetings are scheduled September 17th at South Oldham Fire Station 1, September 18th, LaGrange Fire Station 1, and September 26th, North Oldham High School. Deputy Judge Nuss presented information to the court regarding the 2020 census, the drive for a complete count out of Oldham County, and emphasized how important it is for everyone to be counted in the census. Payables, motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Helms to approve the payables after removing the $5,020.42 claim to Wayland Electric. Motion carried unanimously. Community business, second reading, public hearing for the revisions to the comprehensive zoning ordinance. Assistant Director of Planning and Development, Amy Alvey, presented for second reading proposed ordinance KOC 19-9-2011, repealing and replacing certain sections of the existing Oldham County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, and the floor was open for public comment. Kim Hyde, Oldham County Director of Tourism, spoke against the proposed changes relating to the restrictions for standalone barrel warehouses. There being no further public comment, the public hearing was closed. Motion made by Magistrate Harrison to reject the entirety of the proposed amendment and keep it as the zoning ordinance was originally passed. The motion failed for lack of a second. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell, seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to adopt ordinance KOC 19-9-2011 as submitted. Motion carried 8-1 on a roll call vote. Magistrate Harrison voted no. Second reading, public hearing for revisions to the Code Enforcement Board ordinance. Planning and Development Director Jim Urban presented for second reading proposed ordinance KOC 19-150-01, repealing and replacing KOC 02-154-55, relating to the county's Code Enforcement Board, and the floor was open for public comment. There being no public comment, the public hearing was closed. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Dye to adopt ordinance KOC 19-150-01 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Likens to approve the ordinance violation fine schedule as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Second reading, public hearing for the ordinance mitigation rates for emergency and non-emergency services. Director of Emergency Management, Jerry Nart, presented for second reading proposed ordinance KOC 19-310-174, relating to an ordinance establishing and implementing a program to charge mitigation rates for services performed by Oldham County responding agencies, and the floor was open for public comment. There being no public comment, the public hearing was closed. Motion made by Magistrate Hound, seconded by Magistrate Dye to adopt ordinance KOC 19-310-174 as submitted. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Logsdon voted no. Resolution, mitigation cost recovery schedule. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds, seconded by Magistrate Dye to authorize the Judge Executive to sign Resolution 0109-1719 relating to approving a mitigation cost recovery schedule for responding agencies as submitted. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Logsdon voted no. Contract agreements and resolutions. Resolution KYEM Flood Mitigation Assistance Program. Motion made by Magistrate Likens, seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to authorize the Judge Executive to sign Resolution 0209-1719 relating to the application for and administration of Kentucky Emergency Management Flood Mitigation Assistance Program. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Dye voted no. Resolution KYTC Supplemental Agreement Number 3, Allen Lane Underpass. Motion made by Magistrate Tice, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to authorize the Judge Executive to sign Resolution Number 0309-1719 and Supplemental Agreement Number 3 with KYTC for the Allen Lane Underpass project. Motion carried 8-1. Magistrate Harrison abstained. Professional Services Agreement, Goshen Hills Drainage Project. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Tice to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the Professional Services Agreement with Jacoby Toombs and Lance relating to Goshen Hills Drainage Improvement Project Phase 1 Final Design. Motion carried unanimously. Judge Vogel announced a 10-minute break, hearing no objections. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to return to the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. Committee recommendations and reports. Road Committee Dump Truck Bid Award. Motion made by Magistrate Harrison and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to purchase 2 dump trucks from Ewell Truck Sales for $135,393.04 per unit as per bid submitted August 30th, 2019. Motion carried 7-2. Magistrates Greenwell and Tice voted no. Road Committee Performance Bonds and Road Links in Poplar Woods. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon, upon the recommendation of the county engineer to release the following bonds as submitted and to accept the memorandum of record regarding revised total road links for Poplar Woods Drive, Yellow Poplar Drive, Poplar Ridge Road, and Poplar Point Way. Motion carried unanimously. $23,000 performance bond for Poplar Woods Section 3, $26,000 performance bond for Poplar Woods Section 4A, $36,723.83 erosion control bond for Burger King at Claymont Crossing, $18,000 performance bond for Grand Oaks Section 2A. Buildings Maintenance Committee, Bravura Contract Community Center Expansion. Motion made by Magistrate Lincoln, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon, to authorize the judge executive to sign the conceptual design and construction cost estimate from Bravura relating to the John W. Black Community Center expansion. Motion carried unanimously. Buildings Maintenance Committee generator bid award. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds, seconded by Magistrate Likens, to award the diesel generator bid to Evapar for $23,600. Motion carried unanimously. HR Grants and Technology Committee, Community Foundation Workforce Development. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Likens to give Oldham County Community Foundation $12,500 for 2019 and $12,500 for 2020, for a total of $25,000 for its workforce readiness 3-year project. Motion carried unanimously. 2020 benefit renewal. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon, seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to accept the benefit renewal for 2020 as presented and allow Judge Vogel to sign all paperwork relating to the renewal. Motion carried unanimously. Personnel actions. Police. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell, seconded by Magistrate Hounds to accept the resignations of Dustin Dean effective August 30th, 2019, and Chris Herbstreith effective September 15th. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds, seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to hire Dwayne Durrett as a 5-year lateral at $24.50 base hourly rate effective September 30th. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to hire Donald Lee Meredith Jr. as a 5-year lateral police officer effective October 1st per attached contract and pending approval from Kentucky Retirement. Motion carried unanimously. Board appointments. Oldham County Library Board. Motion made by Judge Vogel, seconded by Magistrate Harrison to reappoint David Hutchinson to the Library Board with a term to expire October 1st, 2023. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Lincoln, seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to reappoint Jennifer Proud to the Library Board with the term to expire October 1st, 2023. Motion carried unanimously. Pee Wee Valley Fire Protection District Board. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon, seconded by Magistrate Dye to appoint D. Todd Jones to the Pee Wee Valley Fire Protection District Board with a term to expire June 30th, 2021, fulfilling the unexpired term of Joe McWilliams as submitted. Motion carried 8-0-1. Magistrate Hounds abstained. Public comment. Jerry Nart, member of the Veterans Memorial Park of Kentucky, announced a fundraiser at the South Oldham football game Friday, September 20th in honor of National POW MIA Day. Announcements. Magistrate Dye announced September is National Recovery Month. Magistrate Greenwell reported Highway 22 is being repaved. Expect 2 to 3 weeks for repairs followed by paving. Pray for rain for those in the agriculture business. Magistrate Harrison announced September 17th is Constitution Day. September 17th through the 23rd is Constitution Week, and the following military observance days. September 18th is Air National Guard Day. September 29th is Gold Star Mother's Day. Oldham County History Center is hosting a cruise on the river October 10th with the historian for Army Corps of Engineers as the guest speaker. Motion made by Magistrate Dye, seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously, and the meeting was adjourned at 4:35.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from September 17th. Is there a motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. You may have heard us, Sheila, say that we hired 2 new police officers, and those officers were sworn in this morning and will be in on the street, I believe, immediately. Correct, Chief? All right. So happy to have Dwayne Durrett return to us. He left for a while, went to Jefferson County, but wanted to come back to Oldham County. We're very happy to have him. And Lee Meredith, who was retired from J-Town, we're very happy to have Lee as well. So I'm looking forward to the service those officers will provide the community. So happy to have them here. All right, time now for public comment. That's the time during our meeting when we invite people to come forward to address the fiscal court. If you have an item that's not on the agenda or something you'd like to talk about, bring up an issue to the community, and happy to have you do so. All right, we have Becky Zockline here, and I think she has a guest.
Yes. Two things. Thank you, Judge, and good afternoon, members of the Fiscal Court. First, I want to give everyone notice that it is October. It is the Household Hazardous Waste Collection Event is coming up October 19th, and we'll be out at the fairgrounds all that day from 9 to 3 collecting household hazardous waste. So if you or members of the public have not yet done it, please start collecting your household hazardous waste. That's your spray paint, your oil-based paint, squiggly light bulbs, batteries, fluorescent bulbs, pesticides, fertilizers, etc., and bring them to the fairgrounds for proper disposal, safe disposal. This is funded by the Kentucky Pride Grant in majority. And as an aside, I have here with me from Republic Services, Todd Prayer, my main contact at Republic Services, and he's here to extend a gift to the county on behalf of, or in support of, our Leaders Don't Litter program and anti-littering awareness.
Good afternoon, Judge, Magistrates. Once again, like Becky said, Public Services is honored to partner with the county, provide a $1,000 check to the Leaders Don't Litter program, the litter abatement. Participated in the Pick a Park program, which is the first one this year, correct? Mm-hmm. Actually, me and my daughter actually came out from Shelby and participated in that as well. I got a tick bite to prove it.
Well,
But,
sorry about that.
That's all right, that's all right. And we also supplied a dumpster to remove all the debris from the parks as well on that day. So it's just gratitude from us as well to the county. We cherish our partnership and look forward to many more years of it.
Thank you. We're very happy to have you support the program. Leaders Don't Litter is a new program we have, and I think it's been very effective. Our first time out was 3 or 4 months ago, somewhere, 5, I've forgotten.
It was May,
spring.
yeah.
Pardon?
It was back in May.
Back in May, okay, and that was, as, it's unfortunate that we have to have people pick up litter, for unfortunate people litter. I don't know why someone does, it's just a thoughtless moment, somebody tosses something, but other people wind up picking it up, and we appreciate the Leaders Don't Litter program and your participation in it and supporting the advertising and bags, rewards that we have to encourage people to do the right thing. So thank you very much, Todd.
Welcome.
We appreciate our good relationship with Republic Services. All right, thank you. Anybody have a question or comment there? Manager Greenwell?
Thank you, Judge. I just had an opportunity to interact with Republic Services about a constituent complaint, and she called me up, and she had me on the phone, on one phone, and she had corporate Republic Services on the other phone. Okay. And anyway, she was just a little bit more than hot. And so anyway, I told her, I said, I got this taken care of. So she wanted a replacement for a can that she had been asking for. So I said, I know where I can get one. So I went and got one, I borrowed one, and took it to her. She was very happy. And then I called Dave Stucker, and he replaced that one. And they had another one that was torn up, so he replaced that. So the whole thing ended very well, and it just shows how working together you can make these things happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, we can, especially being so close.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a
Right.
benefit.
We appreciate your cooperation and service. All right. Thank you very much for coming today.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else like to address the fiscal court at this time? And I believe Magistrate Harrison would like to.
Thank you, Judge, members of the court. I'm not magistrate right now. I'm speaking to an individual and a property owner and a homeowner here in LaGrange. A week ago, one of my neighbors had finished mowing the front yard. She was mowing the backyard. And the young man in a brand-new yellow Dodge pickup truck parked on the grass out in front, walked to the back in the driveway, and started his sales pitch of how he had just finished seal coating somebody else's driveway and had just enough material left to do her driveway if she would be willing to make a cash payment that day only. It was a special. And being a trusting woman and elderly She agreed to do it, and he ran the weed eater around the driveway, sprayed it with something black, pocketed the money and left. This is called a scam. The people who do it are called predators. They come from a community called gypsies. If you do an online search for driveway seal coat scam or driveway scam, you will be overwhelmed with what you find. Somehow or another, they are able to pick out the most vulnerable people in our community. They don't even have to find a bad driveway. They tried to scam a gentleman across the street whose driveway was only paved 2 years ago. Not a crack in it. He was going to give him the same deal. The man did not have any business cards. The truck is unmarked. He said he had an office in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is wrong, and an office in Shelbyville. And I think when he's over in Shelbyville scamming people, he tells me he has an office here in LaGrange. No business cards. He had a made-up statement that showed an 803 area code phone on it that is not Myrtle Beach, but it is South Carolina. These people, in my opinion, are just pure evil, because it is not legitimate, and unfortunately, it's probably people 65 and over that get hit the most. How they find them, I don't know, but they do. If somebody, and this is for the county, if somebody approaches you with a deal like that, ask them for a business card, ask them for identification, ask them if they have a permit to be doing business in the city or in the county. They will lie and say they do, but they have to have that with them, and they never do, because they don't have one. Ask them to give you a quote and tell them you will check with your spouse and get back to them tomorrow. You'll never see them again, because it's just as crooked as it can be. My mother-in-law down in Bowling Green got hit by a similar group last year, and I'm still bitter over that. So luckily the neighborhood was kind enough, we took up the collection and offset most of what the lady was out. So again, she said she just felt so stupid, and I said, ma'am, don't feel stupid. These people are pros. They're trained from childhood to do this, and they're very, very good at it. And they can con almost anybody. So if you're not sure, don't do business with them. They will not have business cards, trust me. Nothing shows where they're from. Probably not even the phone number. But I did talk to the police chief here in LaGrange, and he's done some background check on it. Hopefully the yellow pickup truck shows up again, we can do something with it. So, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Be careful, buyer beware, that phrase is, there's a reason behind it. And of course, in the county here, any solicit, this is a little different, but somewhat the same. Any solicitation is supposed to come, have approval through our police department. People should have identification with them, that they have been to the police department, have been checked out as a legitimate solicitor. So if someone comes to your door to sell you something, be extremely careful, and check with our police department, see if they have them show you their identification if they have any. If they don't have any, I'd report it to the Oldham County Police or the LaGrange Police, or Pee Wee Valley for that matter, if you want to do that. Is there anybody else who would like to address public comment here? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public comment now, and we don't really have a long agenda for today. We have a few items. First one would be the payables under tab A, and we'll pay our bills when the court is ready to do so. Anybody want to make a motion?
Judge.
Move that motion, make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all right. Are there any questions on anything that we have here today? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the supplemental agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet regarding the 1793 sidewalk project. Belinda Demas will review this with the court.
Hello. This is a supplemental agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet in the amount of $70,720 in federal SLO funds for the Kentucky 1793 sidewalk project. There is a required match of $7,780. There's also a land donation valued at $9,900 being contributed by the Ridgeview Subdivision Homeowners Association. On March 5th of this year, we opened construction bids for this project. The low bidder was Louisville Paving for $191,000. This was higher than our estimate for the project, so we requested these additional funds in this supplemental agreement for the project. And we are asking Fiscal Court to allow Judge Vogel to sign the agreement and resolution.
I make that motion, Judge.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Now, discussion. Magistrate Likens.
Belinda, can you tell us exactly where this is again to refresh
It's
my
on
memory?
Kentucky 1793. It's between Ridgeview Drive and Ridgetop Drive, kind of across the front of the subdivision.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Magistrate Tice?
Is this sidewalk ever going to get built?
It will now that we have the funds. It took forever to get it all together because we had some right-of-way issues and some kind of extenuating problems. We took it to bid in the spring, and the low bid was, $80,000 more than what we had estimated.
$80,000 more.
So with the $70,000 in SLO funds plus the small match and the donated land value, we'll have enough for construction. Louisville Paving has been kind enough to extend their bid, so we don't have to rebid it. As soon as this is all done and in place, we will be ready to go to construction.
On $191,000,
Right, we already had
they were
90,000.
$80,000 over?
And that was the low bid. The other bid was, I think, was about $8,000 more than that. So the problem is when you have a small project like this, because it's prevailing wage, because it has to meet all the federal guidelines, there isn't as much interest in construction companies often if they're busy with other work, as it appears that a lot of companies were at the time this was bid. So the bids come in a little higher.
Almost double. It's higher. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to quit and turn the floor over to
Magistrate Harrison.
Thank you. This is not a typical situation for a sidewalk. It's not what you would see in a subdivision where the ground has already been leveled out and bears a relationship to the highway. It's actually going to end up being built on portions of the old original Harmony Landing Road. And there's also a sewer line running through there and a water line running through there, so a lot of considerations have to be made by the contractor.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Linda, you mentioned prevailing wage. Has this project been in, I know it's been going on for a long time, but didn't the legislature voted to get rid of prevailing
It's-
wage?
When you use federal funds, you have to follow the federal guidelines.
Oh,
So,
okay,
LO funds are federal.
yes.
yes.
Magistrate Hounds.
Magistrate Greenwell took my first question, but my second question is, where does this sidewalk go? I mean, are we connecting two pieces?
Well, we're connecting the front of the neighborhood. When this project initially started, and still to this day, the goal is to continue to build sidewalk up towards the school campus. We had a Safe Routes to School project some years ago across the front of the North Oldham campus, and the goal is to eventually provide safe, walkway from the neighborhood and across all the other neighborhoods up to the school. This is, one piece of it.
Okay.
Magistrate Hawkins.
When the neighborhood was built, was there any provisions for the builder to put in a sidewalk that hasn't been met or anything like that? Okay.
Magistrate Dye, you have a question on this?
I didn't, but I guess I'll ask since you looked at me. How long is this sidewalk?
I don't have that information with
Is
me.
it,
I don't
is it
know.
under 10 miles?
It is under 10 miles, yes.
Is it under 5 miles?
Yep.
Is it under
But I
2?
don't know the exact length.
It's under a mile.
Huh?
Yeah,
It's under a mile.
but I don't know the exact, how many feet it is.
How wide is it gonna be? Regular width?
I think it is, I believe it's a 5 foot to meet ADA.
That's the upcharge, Magistrate Tice. Thank you.
The,
Thank you.
does Magistrate Logston, do you have anything you want to add on this? All right, well, everybody's gotten in on this. Let's say, what is the county's total commitment to this project?
The Ridgeview Homeowners Association has committed $29,000, so the bulk of the match. We believe that, worst-case scenario, the county's commitment would be about $17,000.
All right, so what's the total amount of the project now?
The total cost of the project, let me add it up, if you put in design and right-of-way and all the good stuff, is roughly $200,000. 200.
And our
That's-
part was 7 or 17?
17.
17, okay, so, think we're, getting exercised over a small amount of money here. Let's get this thing done and move on.
Let me ask one more question.
Sure.
Does the sidewalk that's going in now, does it get to the school property?
No, no, sir. It's just the first piece. I don't know if you remember, but we did the Safe Routes to School. When we started this project, it was gonna go further, but there was not enough funding, and there were some trees that were gonna have to come down, and so we stopped it across the front of the neighborhood for right now. The goal is eventually, we will continue building it a piece at a time to meet the school, so they'll be able to travel the whole distance. This will not get them there. This is just the first piece.
So even if we put the children on this, which is what I'm visualizing it's going to be used for, because we have several subdivisions and I'm very sympathetic to all of that, we still don't put them on a sidewalk that they can walk in the morning and get to the school.
Not all the way, nope. This would just be the first piece of it.
I didn't mean that to be, it's a little frustrating, I'm sure it is with you, because, you've been working on this a long time, but
We've been dealing with this half my term, I believe.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing project, and there's a lot, we could go into all the reasons why it took so long if you want to, but
Manager Greenwell.
Is it possible that we're not going to see this through until the trees die?
no, this section is ready to go.
I know that, but to complete the circuit, we're going to have to wait for some trees to die?
I don't believe so. We would just have to get additional funding and then work with the neighbors to make sure that they would be happy with the route it was going to take.
Okay.
Magistrate, only if there's a bat habitat in those trees.
I'm praying they're ash trees, but anyway.
Magistrate Hounds.
Is this a budgeted item that we had?
Yes, this was presented, when we presented all of our, transportation projects to the Budget Committee back in June, this was included, and the full amount that we anticipated Fiscal Court might have to pay was included in that.
Okay.
Any further? Magistrate Hawkins.
How far is it from the school?
I don't know.
A mile?
I don't know.
It could be a half mile.
Yeah, it's not a mile.
I don't know the exact distance between, I didn't think about that, to bring that information with me, but I don't know.
Much
the
of it goes across.
This is the most questions y'all have ever asked about this project.
Oh, I
so
know, we're
wasn't
really digging into this one here.
Short meeting, Belinda.
Right.
There you go.
So the intention is to eventually complete it?
Eventually, that's what we would like to do. That's what started this project, was, the HOA came forward, they asked for it, they volunteered to pay the bulk of the match to make it happen, and we knew we were doing the Safe Routes to School project at that time, that they came to us with this, and so that's how the project was born.
Judge, not to belabor, let me add one thing. You've got a whole network of subdivisions over there that, except for Ridgeview Place, they connect. Trails End connects with Settlers Point, which connects to Lakeview Sections 1 and 2, which goes to Goshen Hills, which goes to Harmony Lake. So you can go from Settlers Point through the subdivisions all the way to Highway 42 in front of the Goshen General Store. Ridgeview Place can't go anywhere. So this, I think, is a connector from Ridgeview Place up to Settlers Point. So now they can ride bikes, they can walk and get through the neighborhood without having to get out on 1793. There's also a grade differential in there that's huge. There are places where Highway 1793 is anywhere from 8 to 12 feet higher.
Right,
than
that's
the
a
road right off
rugged
the
piece of
shoulder.
territory.
There's no shoulder,
over
there's
there.
no safety net there.
Magistrate Dye.
Belinda, as was already said, you do work a lot on these things. Is this taking longer than the park and tark?
You know, it's about the same. They started at about the same time, right about the same year.
I haven't sent you the recent picture of the parking talk. Anybody's been over to see it. It's about got gravel
Yeah,
on
it
it.
actually did start at the same time because it was one of the projects that got, one of the issues was it got switched to funding sources, and they both, that happened to both of them, and so it was about the same.
Magistrate Likens.
Yes, Judge, I think we've about worn this out, but when we eventually do widen Highway 42 to 3 lanes, it has sidewalk on it, I think that connects to, up to Ridgemore Drive and goes all the way to the county line, Jefferson County line.
All right, we've pretty well beaten this horse to death here. We've got a motion in the second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Pardon? We have one negative there?
You said aye, but it meant to say nay.
Motion carries 8-1. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item here to be discussed is the Motorola radio agreement. Tim Keel. We're just getting started, Tim, so I hope you're prepared.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to ask Fiscal Court to allow the judge to sign the Motorola Services Agreement. This is for the new maintenance for the 800 radio system. So I know it's a big number, but the radio system is a very good system, and we were able to drop some of the maintenance costs down a little bit because through our agreement with Jefferson County or Louisville Metro, we were able to eliminate some of the items on the contract. Not a lot, about $3,200 worth, so not a big money amount, but $3,200 is $3,200.
Right.
Judge,
Magistrate Hounds.
we talked about this today in the Public Safety Committee meeting. It did come out of Public Safety Committee to ask you to approve this contract, and one of the comments that was made, the number on page 2 or 3, whatever it is not the number the court needs to, it's the number the court needs to look at, but the number on the last page gives a breakdown per year as to what we're paying, and it's a much easier number to swallow. If you go to the very last page in your binder,
Chris, I've got, or Magistrate Towns, I've got that if
you can,
put it on
if you want to put
overhead,
that up on the overhead. It makes it easier to swallow the number with it when it's broken down over the 10-year period.
Sorry about my chicken scratch on there. The total number after 10 years is the 438,000, I believe. Yes. We were able, those are the subsequent years up to 28, 29. That's how long. And we can, per the contract, if we can drop certain portions off per year if we decide, hey, we don't need that either. But being in its infancy a little bit, I wanted to make sure, again, with our, I think we've got a Rolls Royce of a system. I know it's a Rolls Royce of a maintenance contract, but I think it would be beneficial to go forward with that.
And a couple of things that this does, it also gives us equipment updates that are suggested by Motorola.
That's correct.
So it's not just what I'll call daily maintenance, like an oil change. It's going to also be upgrades to the system over the 10-year period of time in the form of hardware and software.
It is. There's a system upgrade number 2, and again, that's probably not on there, but it's a biannual replacement. So piggybacking off Metro, if Metro is upgrading here and we stay stagnant here, we have to be in line with what Metro does as well. So that's one of the reasons for, Deputy Judge Nuss started this project, and it's been a great project. I just think we need to maintain it.
All right, so the Public Safety Committee voted to recommend that we go forward. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, you going to make that?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make that in the form of motion that we ask you to sign the Motorola service agreement for the radio system.
Second.
Right, moved and seconded. All right, is there any further discussion about this? Anybody?
I have a question.
Magistrate Harrison.
Pam, are all of our emergency services here on the same communication platform to where they communicate
They are.
without having to go through a third-party type thing?
That is correct, yes.
Which I don't believe may be entirely true in Metro.
Metro has all our channels, they can talk to us, we have.
No, but internally, I'm not sure they're all on the same platform.
They are.
That I don't know. They are on the
Glad we
800
are.
system like we are. Whether all their agencies are, I don't know. But as far as us going to Metro, we can communicate with them. We'll have the capacity to communicate with Bullitt County. Once they come on board with Metro, and I heard Shelby County's looking too. I don't want to say yes, they are, or no, they're not, because I'm not positive.
Maybe if I live long enough, it'll be statewide.
Me too. I don't know.
Magistrate Harrison, Metro is all on one, all the 800 megahertz radio system from the Public Works, Police, Fire, and EMS. They are on different, they call them talk groups, but every radio that is on the Metro system is part of a interoperability. We have to have channels or talk groups on our radios the same as that they have, no matter if you're the animal control person or a police officer. So it's relatively seamless in the grand scheme of things.
For emergency services, we have the ability to talk to their police, their fire, their EMS, but as far as their public works, I don't have that capacity, and I don't really need that. And that's the way I understood your question, but Magistrate Hounds is absolutely correct.
I'm not sure everybody in emergency services in Metro would agree with you, but I understand. That was the basis of my question, because I'm
I
working with them now, and it's not right. They have glitches in there where they're not talking to themselves because of communications.
I can't speak for that.
All right, is there any further discussion on this recommendation? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll talk about the inmate telephone system at the detention center. County Jailer Mike Simpson is here to discuss a contract with us.
Okay, hopefully everyone, thank you, Judge. Everyone has a copy. Actually, what we're talking about is amendment to our current inmate phone provider to try to get it approved for a 2-year extension. This is our second year in a current 4-year contract. And the reason for this, and we met with the committee to discuss, as you all recall, we've had a lot of issues with our inmate video visitation. Video visitation, where the current provider, which is MTI, is based out of Alabama. As we went through this, and if you recall, our system was hacked about 6-8 months ago, lost a lot of really, really important information. And so we started the discussion phase about getting away from MTI, but we needed to wait until they completed their entire investigation. And we were hoping in the early stages to be able to recoup some of our lost information. That didn't happen, but we did get the final report to put us in a better position should we ever get questioned, hey, what happened to your data? So to bring us back to today, our current inmate phone provider has been willing to step up. They came, we started talking with discussions for them to take over the video visitation that they also are involved in. They're another one of the providers that operate here in the state of Kentucky. They actually are a state-based Kentucky. Their home office is in northern Kentucky. We've had a lot of history with the company. So again, what's in front of you today is to be able to get a vote on to extend their inmate phone contract by 2 years in lieu of they will now come in and take over our video visitation system at no cost to us. So whatever it takes to keep our video visitation up and running, that means new hardware, they will put it in place. That means putting in a new software package, they will put it in place. Okay? And the only thing they're asking for is, again, as I mentioned, is the 2-year extension. So, open up for questions.
Magistrate Hounds, have you reviewed this?
I have, Judge. I still have some concerns as to this is a mild scope of work, but it's difficult for me to say much about it because I'm not using the system. I mean, I have an idea of how it works, and Jailer Simpson and I have had way too many conversations about this
That's
system.
it.
Are we going to take advantage of all the options, like the fast case law library? Are we going to use that? And on our document that was sent to us, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that we should check yes or no on as it relates to remote video visitation, email, grievances, jail handbook. Are we taking advantage of all those too?
We will do all of those things. Those things were on our current system, Chris, with MTI. So we're not going to change. We're just going to be able to take this with the new company, okay? And we will be able to put all of our forms, medical requests, grievance procedures, special requests, again, the video visitation. So the big thing here, I think, in the message that I want to make sure everybody understands is we've had history with that other company. They did not meet their obligation. They did not provide the services. And then we had we've been there for 21 months. And literally we've had problems with that company pretty much ongoing for 20-something months. Going with this particular company, we have a lot more history with them as far as because they have been providing the inmate phone system. They were at our old jail for several years. I feel much more comfortable with them. I think we also provided, if you recall, Chris, I don't know, there was 8 or 10 other jails that they currently have contracts with on the video visitation. But yeah, we're planning on putting everything that we have, all of our forms, we're basically paperless, is what we're going to be doing.
And all of the references to those other jails all came back with positive feedback?
Yes.
And are they using video visitation and inmate phone, one or the other or both?
Most of them are doing both. Most of the companies, the video visitation side of combined is relatively a new program for them, but they've branched out. They didn't do that 15 years ago. They didn't provide that type of service, but they now do.
Where is the only thing I didn't see was the out clause. Are we using the original contract if?
The 4-year contract, the dialogue or the information that's in the first original contract will just carry on. This is just doing a 2-year extension, extending the 4-year to a 6-year.
What is the commission on the telephone part,
Gosh, you're asking me something I don't know.
percentage-wise?
I know how much, I know what the monthly check is, so I can tell you that, but I can't.
Okay, well, I mean,
Percentage-wise, Judge, I'm gonna say it's probably around 15%, 15 to 20%, I believe. I
no,
have to
does
look
Melissa
at
know
it.
what it is?
You have it off the top?
50?
50%.
Okay, well, I see here on this one, we're being asked to sign one that says 20%. So what 20 and 50, is this ending up in a reduction of commission for us in exchange for providing this free service?
No, it's not gonna change anything. There are no changes.
Oh,
Video visitation, it says, as additional compensation, CPC will provide 20% commission on remote.
And what they're referring
Video
to there, if
visitation
we
usage.
do home video visitation, like Skyping, that's what that percentage, I judge. I think what you're reading, we've never done that. We had the same opportunity. We had the same with MTI. We never flipped that switch. We never, because I'm just not comfortable with it, because I just still not sold on that part of technology about creating a safety and security issue potentially. So that is a separate, that's the only time that MTI was ever going to make, quote unquote, any money. Because had we chosen to branch out and do, you could be sitting home on your laptop and do a video visitation, then that's where that commission would kick in. This has nothing to do with the current percentage of money that we're
Are you
getting from.
planning on doing that, allowing that To
I'm so
me,
old
it
school,
seems,
I'm just to be honest with you, Judge, I don't know. At this point,
I mean, is anybody going to monitor when people, if we did that, I could easily see where somebody, we all know there are
Stupid people out there.
visual links that are used with the internet in a salacious way. And we don't want, inmates, friends.
answer to you today would be, I'm
sending
not going to
in-
do it today, and I would continue to monitor it. The 20-something months, Judge, that we've been there, we never did it with MTI. We never turned that part of that program on. We just didn't do it.
So, and one of the benefits to this video visitation, so that make sure that the rest of the court understands, this is a value to the jail because you don't have to have a deputy transporting an inmate for visitation. The visitation is done from the inmate cell inside the facility.
It is. It's every visit is conducted when the system is working properly. That inmate can stay in their housing unit. We don't have to walk down the corridor, take them. First of all, when the new design, Chris, we couldn't do it anyway because we have no space for that because of technology. But the video visit takes place, the inmate's in their cell, up front in our office, and everybody here went through the new jail. They know what we're talking about. And so the visitors come on site. We have 13 different booths, and they sit down, and there it is, right there. So that visit is conducted that way.
Right, and we're able to monitor each visitor.
Yes.
They sit in a
Absolutely.
public setting and do things.
Absolutely.
I'd be very reluctant, I think, to, wade into this remote video visitation because we all know that people
I'm not
in
sold on
a
it either,
detention
Judge.
center can be very creative about,
Absolutely.
everything that's available to them.
Was MTI keeping our video for a period of time also? So it says here, they will store remote video visits for remote video visits. They're not storing video visitation going forward. MTI wasn't, or CPC's not going to be.
What do you mean storing? I'm not
So,
sure.
so you and I are having a video visitation. Are they storing that clip, that video visitation for the future, or is it just live and it's done?
Well, what MTI did not do, and we found out after we were hacked, they did not back up anything. They did not back up any of our data, any of our medical request forms, grievance procedures, answers, even when we answered that. And that was one of the, obviously, huge drawbacks after we found out. Combined, we'll do that. They will back up everything for us.
For how long? It doesn't say that. It doesn't say the data, it doesn't say the video.
And I can get that answer I don't have it. I don't want to tell you something here standing here today and be wrong, Chris, but they are going to do that. They will be backing up all of our information, whereas MTI never did.
As you die.
Mike, I've got some questions here about this. These are several questions, so bear with me. The way I read this contract, and I read it the other day and saw it again today, and I see it again now. We're getting rid of, and you'll have to give me the initials. What is the company that we're getting rid of?
The company that we're no longer, Bobby, is going to be MTI, and they're
Okay.
located out of Alabama.
Now, they're gone, and we're going to use these people, which we've used in the past. I'm familiar with their name.
Correct.
But I don't see any connection between this contract and our phone contract. Aren't these both going to stand alone by themselves?
Well, what you have in your hand is what they're going to be doing is they want the extension of their current phone contract.
Okay,
That's all that really means. But
But
for
it
that,
doesn't say anything about that in here. I'm not trying to be difficult, but it looks like to me that I don't have a problem giving them an extension on an existing contract
right.
with the phones. This does not, at least if you can explain it to me, where does this link into that extension, into that phone contract? There's no verbiage here that I can see, and maybe I'm missing it, but
I can have a copy with me either, Bob, because it got transferred. Let me see if I got it.
it's not one of, let's just say for
It
discussion,
says at
it's
the
not
top,
it.
whereas the addendum relates to the inmate telecommunications general services agreement originally entered into by combined thereafter CPC and the Oldham County Detention Center, right at the top
Yeah,
paragraph.
right, but we've got 2 years left on a contract.
Right.
And we're wanting to introduce this in at a 2-year point, and this is for 4 years?
Additional 2 years.
Additional two.
Additional
We're-
two.
We're actually in year 2 of the original
Of
4-year
Original
contract.
4, right. All right, you cleared that up. Now, back to this second page with the graph here, where you're concerned about, and the judge is concerned about, the safety of the, I don't see anything on here where Magistrate Hound said, I don't see anything about backing up anything. Again, maybe you can explain it to me. But on this graph where it says, check yes, available features, right now, you're only going to check, and you don't have one there in front of you, do you?
Here you go, Mike.
Look at his. I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. On the second page, back of the first page, it says on-site video visitation. That is the only thing that we're going to be doing now, correct? Versus
Yes,
all
that is
these.
correct.
Okay, now, are we going to check all these other ones and then choose to use them later or not use them? And if so, if we check yes for all of these and we don't use but that one, is it going to, from what I read here, it's only going to affect this 20% commission level just on the video conferencing. It has nothing to do with the phones.
Well, if we do not check the remote video visitation, okay, then that's where the commission kicks in, which at this point, we're not doing that.
Okay.
We're not going to use that feature.
So right now,
On-site-
but wait a minute, that's what I'm saying. Are we going to check that we can do it later or choose not to do it?
You know, Bob, I don't think, and I don't have a direct answer, but here's what I would say to that. That is a feature that they provide.
Okay.
If we do not check it, we're going to move forward on the assumption at this point in time, we are not going to use that feature. But it does, I don't think it totally would exclude us from if 6 months from now,
Well,
if we wanted to say, we want to flip the switch.
But you
and-
don't
and
even
start
have the
using it.
on-site videotation checked. That's where my confusion is. Is it that what we're going to be doing?
We're going to do on-site.
So
That's
that
it.
should be checked on this piece of paper here, so we will know that's what we're doing.
Right. I
Okay.
mean, we're going to do, yes, we're going to do that, absolutely.
Okay, well, it doesn't say that here, again. All right, now, with that being said, I have a concern about the backup. It doesn't spell that out.
Backup's on third page.
And, well, but it didn't say the dates and all that, how long and how and all of that. Where are they going to put it in? They're not going to.
It just says remote video visits will be stored for 90 days.
90 days.
No,
There's
I'm
other
talk-
pieces besides remote video visitation.
There's other-
Take that out of the equation. It's the backup of the medical records that you talked about. It's the backup of the handbook. It's the backup of the policy reporting. It's the backup of all the other stuff
Right.
besides video visitation. That's the data that you lost before.
Right.
We don't have that clearly addressed in this document.
I mean, that's easy. I think, guys, we can clear that up to make sure that if everybody's going to make sure that we lay our head down tonight, go to sleep well, we can put that in there. But I can assure you that's part of the yes.
Right. Well, I don't want to have another problem with this contract that we have with the other one, which was no fault of ours.
No,
but-
not at all.
But
No,
I want
not
to
at
make
all.
sure that what they're backing up and where they're backing it up to and who's paying for the storage on the cloud, if it's going to the cloud,
Right.
okay? I mean, I support what you're doing here, but I'm not ready to move on this contract today till we get a few more answers.
Judge, I have a question.
Magistrate Harrison,
Are we working on a motion? Do we have a motion?
No.
I don't think we have a
No,
motion
he-
yet.
There's an
just
awful lot
asked
of
for comments.
discussion without a motion. I thought that was the purpose of having a motion.
He asked for comments, and this is my comment.
All right, then my question to you is, has this been reviewed by the appropriate committee, and if not, why? 'Cause
Well, I
it seemed
think I
like-
asked Magistrate Hounds if he had any comments on that, and no one has made a motion to accept this or second it.
But it seems like we're doing a lot of committee work here.
Well,
It was not brought to the committee today. It was talked about in the committee, but, this has all turned up in the last couple of days. I mean, it was in everybody's packet from, it was emailed to you on Friday.
I'm not concerned about the email. I'm concerned about if we're not going to run these things through a committee, why do we have committees? It should go through a committee, be reviewed by them, and come to us with a recommendation, up or down, then we get to vote on it.
Albert, I think, Judge, if I may,
okay.
I think some of the questions Now, we have met with the committee. I've met with the committee. We've talked about starting again, what I kind of outlined. I think what's happened here today, that there's been some questions that have been raised that were not talked about at some of the meetings that we had. Now, if that means if we table this, well, it's not really a motion, but if we want to go back through the committee, get some of these other questions answered, they were not really talked about. I want you to know that. But a lot of these other things that we did talk about, we talked about the problems, why we were moving here, and what Combined would be willing to do to step up and provide the services on this video visitation. But there are some questions that we did not discuss. And I think if we need to go back, I'm fine with that.
All right, just to, step up to Magistrate Harrison's point here, we don't have a recommendation in a second on this to, but not everything has to go through every committee, though. I mean, we are a committee of the whole sitting here right now, okay? So I don't, but nevertheless, I do believe this was never, I don't think, discussed with me at any point prior to getting here today, and there had been questions floating around about it. So is there anybody, let's have a recommendation on this to approve and second it, then we can go forward and discuss it further. Magistrate Hounds, would you do that? Or I'll make a recommendation it be approved, and who will second it? And we'll discuss it some more.
I'll second it for point of discussion.
All right, thank you. All right, so what liability do we have here? These people are in our detention center working right now with the telephone system. I agree with the Magistrate Dye. I believe this organization has a very good reputation. They're in a lot of jails in Kentucky. I have never heard anything unsatisfactory about them, and I have heard many people be complimentary about them. So I don't think it's a question of not dealing with these people. It's a question, in our case, of being clear about what we're doing and who is backing up our system right now. If MCI is gone, and are these people backing it up right now, or where
Well,
are
we
we?
have it on the main server, but what happened, Judge, when we got hacked, then because it was never backed up, then it was gone, of course,
Right.
and we couldn't retrieve it. We're going to make sure, obviously, that all of this information is being backed up properly. We were not aware of that, I think is what we talked about.
Right now, we're backing up our own.
Well, until until we get this switched over, we're going to say Combined, take this over, right at this moment, because MTI, we're still functioning with MTI. We've not made the big switch, nor even if today, Judge, even if
But
we
they're not
were-
backing this up, are they?
No, they're not. No, so.
They're not.
Heaven forbid
We're
if we get
functioning
hacked,
with
if we were to
them,
get
but
hacked
they're not
again.
providing any service while we're functioning with them. Right? Or
I'm
wrong?
sorry, I apologize.
Say we're, have a relationship with them, but they're not providing any service to us.
They would be backing up what he's been doing, but that is the material that he had before that was hacked, that got taken away. So they're probably holding on. I'm not that literate on it, but I think it's probably on the server or someplace like it. Chris
It's
could
on our
probably
current server,
answer
but it's
that.
not being backed up through
You
MTI.
have, we have two locations. Your current location is going to be your server location. Then there either is going to be a backup on-site and a backup off-site. Is there a backup off-site of the data that's on the server?
Right now.
Yes.
As far as, my answer is no. MTI never did that from the beginning, Chris.
Okay, so there's a couple pieces that I think that we need to look at this as it stands right now, but then we need to get our IT vendor in to make sure that we have a complete package. In other words, the backup, the ports locked down, and all the security stuff. So if we approve the CPC contract, I would suggest that that the jailer gets with Treasurer Melissa Horn and gets our IT vendor in there to make sure that we're getting what we need. The data being on the server is great, but if a hard drive goes out in the server, I don't know if it's a RAID system or what kind of system it is on the server, you lose a drive, you may lose all the data again.
Is that possible?
Obviously,
We have.
We're putting her on the
Right,
spot.
I mean, with the MCI, we expected to have a dual system backup. Is that correct? Us and them, but there was a breakdown with them, and they never
yeah,
did.
they never did.
They didn't do it.
They didn't do it.
Okay.
And-
So now we would have a dual, if we accept this and go forward today or at some point, we'd have a dual backup. Is that correct?
Well, it's not in the contract, Judge. It just talks about video, remote video
nothing but
visitation
running
we
on the
backed up.
server.
It doesn't say anything about data backup.
It's kind of like
Okay,
having
and
a
there was,
gallon of
okay.
Now, I think
All
what we
out,
could probably
and then
do,
put
just
a gallon back
really,
in it.
again, answer most everybody's
All of it.
questions.
So they're talking,
I could have had somebody here today, but unfortunately it didn't work out because I didn't know that we were gonna go after we met the other day. 2 weeks from now, Judge, I can have someone from Combine here, their person.
I would do.
Then, if that would be the best approach for everybody, so we can all, make sure we're on the same page. And what are the services? Are we gonna get things backed up? How's it being backed up?
And that-
I mean, I can have that person here.
That goes back to the comment that I made last week about the total scope of work. Everything that they're going to do for us, so we know that they're going to do a backup. Is it going to be an incremental backup? Is it going to be in the cloud? What's the backup going to look like? And then to talk about, it doesn't say in here, how long, if we make a phone call to them now, how long before somebody's going to be on site? I know you've made comments that they're going to be here in a couple hours or whatever the case may be. But again, a total scope of work. As chair of the Public Safety Committee, I won't speak for the other two members, but if we do it at the right time of the day, we could probably have a meeting in the next 2 weeks, get this hammered out, bring it back to court in 2 weeks, and it would have a higher level of success.
I mean, I can do that. That's not a problem.
Judge, I'd like to pursue a little what you said with Ms. Horn. With Mike saying that he's not comfortable with doing these other services, I'd like to see if our people, our IT people that we use to protect the county's information, since the jail is our building, so to speak, and we just let Mike use it for his playground, I think that maybe we need to incorporate some of our protective measures into this to where Mike then would have the ability to utilize this stuff instead of being, and Mike, don't take this the wrong way, I'm just as back as you are about these IT things. It worries me too a little
I've
bit.
got my IT guy
Yeah.
that works for me here.
Yeah, but see-
I started to bring Nick down here.
But see, I
to
think
which way
that,
we were
I
gonna
think
go.
that we could possibly, dovetail this together to where we have one agency that we could go to and say, okay, if we've got a problem, where's the problem? Why did it happen, and how are we gonna fix it? As far as the protection side of it. That's just my suggestion.
Judge,
Magistrate Harrison?
I believe it's appropriate. I move that we postpone the action on this issue until our next meeting.
You already have a motion on the floor.
It supersedes that, same as a motion to table would supersede it, but a motion to table is improper, a motion to postpone is proper, I believe. We had a
I would-
parliamentarian.
I would recall your motion and then make your second motion, just table it.
Do what now?
I would just say, I'll recall my motion. I believe you can do that. Who made the motion oh, Chris, I'm sorry.
Judge.
No, the judge did.
The Judge made it.
Oh, the judge. I'm sorry.
Mr. Harrison seconded. So if your second needs to recall, Judge can recall, then you can restart everything. Jumpstart your vote.
I'm confused.
You need to recall your motion.
Motion to table this issue pending.
Need to recall my
Table's
motion.
not appropriate. Look it up. Table is not appropriate.
After the motion is
No,
made,
it's not.
table's not appropriate?
All right, well,
Motion postponed.
okay.
Look it up.
I think we need to back out of this. Let's push this forward. Can you do that? Work with this company. I don't think there's an objection to the company and the service it wants to provide. It's just the facts of the relationship need to be reduced to writing so that each person here can clearly understand. And as it is now, we may be, riding a little bit on the goodwill and assumptions and your positive experience with them. And I do believe they would come in and do whatever is needed to be done, but we all feel better, knowing that it's reduced to writing, and that would, I don't want you to communicate to them anything negative about their service. It's just that we wanted a clarification of all backups before we go further and make sure we have it, and whether or not it can be integrated with our existing if there is an integration point, or if there's not, or if, I don't know about, enough about the electronics of this to say, we don't need 2 or 3 people trying to do the same thing in the jail, but we do need somebody doing something more than MCI was, we assumed they were doing, and they didn't do. And did you have a comment about this, Melissa?
ABS has worked. Go ahead.
No, other than what you've already said, Judge, is that the agreement is not clear and probably would not protect us going forward if something would happen. Because it doesn't say where's the backup, is there a backup? It does not say anything about a backup.
Right.
It says they're gonna provide a server.
Yeah, the only backup is it talked about video visitation, which we're not even talking about that, because I think Jailer Simpson's made the comment, he's not comfortable with remote video visitation anyway, and that's the only words in the backup clause that are in here, which we're not worried about.
And I said I wasn't comfortable with video visitation because I assume the worst aspect of it, but it's certainly possible an inmate could, let's say, talk to his lawyer somewhere through video visitation. There are positive aspects of it.
We have that feature already.
We
not
already have
through-
that in place.
Oh, that's not video
That's
visitation.
totally different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Standalone system where attorneys from Indiana, we did that because of the Indiana contract, so they can do video conferencing with their client. They're in Indy.
Yeah,
they're inmates.
right, okay.
We already have that, Judge.
I'll back up on that. I
Yeah, we already
I
have
understand this. Okay.
Judge, you gonna withdraw your motion? That
Yes, I'll withdraw the motion. And,
Well, a second, so you can withdraw the motion.
all right, well, and you can go back and.
I will have someone here in 2 weeks, iron out the concerns.
What, you and I'll talk, because I think,
We'll have an opportunity, I guarantee you.
yep, and we'll
We're not
ask
leaving the
Melissa.
country, are you?
No.
That's good.
Right, let's get it all down in writing here exactly, and then there is no ambiguity or chance for misunderstanding.
Not a problem, Judge, I can do that.
And I do, again, I'll reiterate, we're not unhappy with the company, the name of the company, the service they have provided thus far, and I think they can provide a good service in the future. Let's just all know exactly
Right.
what each side expects in the thing.
Well, and I'll speak, then I'll leave here after that. You know, I know with the company, it's interesting when we talk about scenarios, each one of us has individual experience with certain vendors. Obviously, my experience is way more than you guys, because you obviously, that's not what you do. But I can assure you this, they are, in all the years that I've been doing this, one of the best companies. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Judge, they are at Kentucky-based. Their level of service, it will be spelled out in 2 weeks, but I have all the faith in the world, yes, that they will do and provide the services that we need, and hopefully not endure another 20 months like we have with MTI.
Right, right.
That's our goal. We need to get this thing fixed, get back on track.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. Come back in 2 weeks.
Will do.
All right, Nick, thank you for coming too.
I have one question, Judge.
Steve, go ahead.
Mike, we've already approved the payables and everything, but this is a good opportunity to explain. A video visit touchscreen was replaced. What happened to the original?
We got it on the bill or something?
$4,175.
I'd say one of our children, either they did something to it or it just malfunctioned. Steve, I'm not sure exactly
Okay.
which one you're talking about.
Well,
It's
and I
one or
was,
the other.
I was wondering if somebody did destroy it, do we try to press charges on this and for destroying public property?
Nick, do you recall that? I don't. Which one, how it was damaged? Obviously, we do that. I mean, we have the residents there who takes the TV right off the wall, destroys it. Well, they go multiple months when you take away, you know what I'm saying? So there's ways to answer that. Yeah, we could charge them, but, it's like everything else.
I mean, we're required to be responsible for the taxpayers' money.
And we do.
And,
Believe me, we
and so
charge
I
them.
take this very seriously. Yeah, we needed to replace it, but what are we doing about the,
And I'm assuming, I'm only assuming if it's one of two things. Either the inmates tore it up.
right,
Or something, it blew
it
a gasket
malfunctioned
or
maybe?
something.
Okay.
For lack of a better term.
It could be a warranty issue.
It could be, yeah, there's a lot of.
Well, not if we paid $4,100.
$4,000.
Yeah,
Is that in the payables?
it is.
Is it? Okay. All right. It's one or the other. Oh, yes, thank you. You thought I was going to say it. Thanks.
All right, the next item on today's agenda, the Road Committee, Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. The Road Committee met today, and we recommended to release the following bonds, one of them being an erosion control and two of them being performance bond releases. And County Engineer Jim Silliman's here to walk us through this.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Magistrate Greenwell. I was not able to be at the road committee meeting. I was at public safety, but Derek Shade informed me that you did approve all three of these as a road committee. So the first, and I'll start off with, at the previous fiscal court, we had 5 bond releases, or 4, I believe, and they were approved all together. I was advised that it's probably better to handle these individually for record-keeping process, so we'll do that this way today. The first is Ballard Glen, Section 3. That project was terminated by the developer in the early stages, and they've removed any erosion control or other construction. Primarily, there was a creek crossing that needed to be removed from North Fork, Floyd's Fork, and that was done. So this project is
Complete.
Suitable to be released. That's correct.
Judge, this is in my district, and I'll make a motion that we approve the release of $58,500.
Moved and seconded, we release the $58,500 from Ballard Glen, Section 3, project termination request. In discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The next we have is a performance bond release for Grand Oaks, Section 2B. This one meets the requirements to have the bond released.
Magistrate Hounds, is that in your district?
I believe so, yes, sir. So I'll make the motion that we accept the recommendation of the county engineer.
I'll second it.
All right, moved and seconded, we release this one, $13,000 for Grand Oaks, Section 2B. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Lastly, also in Magistrate Hounds' district, Grand Oaks Section 3, this one also, the roads met the requirements of the county to be released and be accepted into the county road system.
I'd like to make a recommendation that we accept the county engineer's recommendation for the bond release of Grand Oaks Section 3.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded to release $34,000 for Grand Oaks Section 3 subdivision, the performance bond. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Time now for our second public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to address the fiscal court that did not have an opportunity to do so earlier? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment, and we're at the end of our agenda for today, but we'll give each magistrate an opportunity to make any final comments. Magistrate Logston. Okay. Magistrate Dye.
Who?
Magistrate Dye.
Oh, okay.
I think I said Dye.
You said how? Trying to pass us up over here, huh?
Oh, I said
Down
that.
this end, okay. Again, I'm gonna harp on this. I was talking to the chief the other day. Please put your stuff in your trunk. There was a couple cars that were broken into and some weapons were stolen. It's not what we need to be doing here. We're smarter than this. We can do better. Please put your stuff in your trunk and lock your car.
All right. Magistrate Hawkins.
Nothing today, Judge, thank you.
All right. Magistrate Hounds.
Yes, sir, thank you. As of today, I'll call it the annual open burn ordinance runs from May to October, but by the executive order from the county judge, there is no open burning in Oldham County because of the drought. I know that there have been at least 2 or 3 runs today that have been burns that people thought they could start burning because it is October the 1st, but we have an extreme drought condition that's going on right now and that needs to be addressed. So please, no open burning unless you're cooking in a grill that's designed for cooking, no open burning, please. October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and it's also Fire Prevention and Memorial Month. So please keep those things in mind during the month of October. There's plenty of events out there that you can take advantage of for both of those great causes.
All right, thank you. I want to reemphasize something you just said to make sure that it gets through clearly if need be. And that is that the burn ban does not extend to gas grills or charcoal cookers.
Correct.
All right, so you can cook on that regard, but don't put anything on the ground. Okay, it's got to be in a contained vessel of some kind. Manager Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. The last meeting, I asked people to pray for rain, and we've gotten a whopping 4/100ths of an inch, so I'm going to ask you to continue to pray for
We
rain.
didn't pray hard enough.
You may not have much pull, you know.
We need to do some more recruiting, I think. So. Anyway, I talked to friends of mine that I went to college with and things like that, and it's so bad across the state that harvesting machinery is burning up in the field. So, you know, it's something to be going across, shelling your corn, and the next minute your $600,000 combine just burned up. So it's getting critical.
Magistrate Harrison.
Thank you, Judge. There were several comments from mainly residents in Westport about the approaches to the 524 bridge over 18 Mile Creek that was recently done. And that repair work has been accomplished by Louisville Paving. I believe everything's just as smooth as it could be. So sorry for the inconvenience. The abandoned boat at the lower, dock at Shambark Park, all the authorities who need to know about it, and nobody's taken the action yet, but we are aware of it. We've got another bridge closure coming up next week on 1488, also known as Oregon Creek Road. That's the bridge that's about 2.92 miles from 42, and the projected completion date is 60 days from a closure date of October 7th. So Military Days, October 13th, is the birthday for the U.S. Navy. Thank you.
Manager Tice.
Yes, I want to talk about one thing that was talked about in our committee meeting earlier, public safety, is that now that schools have started, and it goes with all campuses, we've got a lot of traffic. We've got children crossing roads, state highways, 393, 329, 146, 22, everywhere. Children don't always look right and left, so as motorists, we have to be extremely careful. When we get around the schools, cars are stopping on the roads, waiting to let children out. So we have to be courteous, and we have to be considerate, and we have to watch what we're doing. So that's all I have to say. Be careful.
Manager Likens.
Thank you, Judge. Just want to announce at the Creasy Mahan Park, there's a haunted hike this Sunday, October the 6th, from 3 to 7. And also, along with the other 8 magistrates, met with Governor Bevin last night, and I'll let the judge take over from that. He was very, very personable and very aware of the problems that Oldham County has. I'd like the judge to expound on that a little bit. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yes, the governor was here last night for a couple hours at our community center. The Oldham era was there, so I'm sure there'll be a story in the era about his coming here and meeting with people, listening to our issues in Oldham County and explaining his position on statewide issues, and including the pension plan and the gas tax, where that is, and what he would like to do to move the state forward. So it was a good meeting. I appreciate him being here. Almost all the magistrates were there last night, and some other public officials. And so I think it was a good chance for us to have a good informal, conversation and sound each other out. So thank you, everybody, for being there.
You were very reminiscent of Edward R. Murrow last night. I thought I would bring that up for you.
Well, I didn't have a cigarette in my hand, though, I'll tell you that. Yeah. We had kind of a, question and answer format, and just tried to have a low-key discussion and not a speech of some nature. I'd like to mention that if you come on into LaGrange, the northbound I-71 exit at Highway 22 here in LaGrange, is under construction now. There's equipment out there, big equipment, moving a lot of dirt. We're going to create a 4-lane road out there that's going to be the exit ramp. 2 lanes will go left, 2 lanes will go right. There'll be a new stoplight eventually out there. So be careful when you come in. It's helping move the ball forward on that side of the Highway 22 bridge at LaGrange. We also have a project for the other side, which is hopefully going to start sometime next year. The work on this being done in LaGrange now, the contractor has until spring to complete it, but we're very optimistic it may be completed by the end of the year. In the meantime, if you're coming into LaGrange in the morning, you may want to get off at the 18 and work, over to Commerce Parkway or something like that. So we're trying to address the traffic bottleneck there, and I'm so glad we have this congestion mitigation air quality grant that we received for $2 million to improve the traffic at that intersection. And we have other road projects underway, and we'll hear more about those as the time goes on. I would also like to, this is a good time of the year as we head toward the end of the year to sort of do our internal housekeeping, and if you will, and looking at things. We've looked at our ordinances. We're in the process of reviewing our comprehensive plan, the 5-year plan. I've also thought this might be a good time to review our planning and zoning, engineering, and bonding process in relation to new development in the county. I've asked some people to come together and to share information from the county side of the equation, from the builder side of the equation, developer and architects and so forth. The people I've asked to come together to kind of share ideas and see what we want to do. We want to, if we're doing things the best way we can do them, we want to know that. If there's any way we can improve, we want to know that as well. We want as much efficiency as we can get into our process from both the county side of the view and from the developer point of view. I've asked some people to come together and take a look at that. I've asked Kevin Nuss to chair this group, which would include Jim Silliman, Jim Urban, Magistrate Greenwell, Magistrate Harrison, Billy Delker, who's a builder, Walt Shum, a builder, Bob Jones, builder, Scott Spear, an engineer, Bobby Van Sant, another engineer, Mel Milburn, and Jay Hall. So perhaps others want to join the conversation at some point, but these are people with a good cross-section of what's happening in our development relationship to developers and in the development community. So, as I say, our goal here is to determine if we're doing everything the best way we can do it. Let's give ourselves a good check for that. If there's something we can do to improve our process, then we want to know about that as well. So this group will, I believe, have a first meeting on October 9th. That said, I thank you all for being here today, and is there a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And motion carries.
I just wanted to give you my